Imagine a book so ancient. It predates paper as we know it, yet its insights are so sharp they could be ripped from today's headlines or, a boardroom strategy session. That's exactly the experience we had diving into The Art of War. It's far more than just some historical military manual.
Oh, absolutely. It's really a masterclass in human psychology, strategic thinking, and the very nature of competition itself.
It truly is.
What's consistently fascinating, I think, is how a text penned millennia ago still forms the bedrock of strategic thought.
Yeah.
Not just in military academies, which you'd expect, but across business, negotiation, leadership development, even like personal goal setting.
Right. So our mission today is to cut through all those centuries, wade through the maybe nuances of translation,
Definitely the nuance.
and extract those timeless nuggets of wisdom from this foundational work. We're focusing specifically on the comprehensive preface and early chapters of Lionel Giles's definitive translation.
That's the plan. And Giles is key here.
And this deep dive is crafted specifically for you listening. Whether you're gearing up for, say, a high-stakes meeting, or you're just fueled by an insatiable curiosity about historical genius. Or maybe you simply want to gain crucial knowledge quickly without drowning in information overload, you're in the right place.
We hope so.
We promise to bring you those sudden aha moments, connecting that ancient wisdom to your modern world.
And our source material is, well, it's rich and specific. We've got selected excerpts from Giles's meticulous translation of The Art of War.
Right, including his detailed preface.
Exactly, and the initial strategic chapters. This selection isn't just about absorbing the content, though. It's also about understanding the fascinating journey this text took to reach us.
That journey itself is a story.
It is. It's critical historical context and the inherent challenges involved in bringing such profound ancient wisdom to a contemporary English-speaking audience. It wasn't straightforward.
No, definitely not. And that journey, as you said, it's packed with intrigue and, frankly, some pretty embarrassing missteps along the way.
Oh, yes.
It's a powerful reminder that the messenger's, often shapes the message.
Critically so.
So to really grasp the significance of Giles's work, we have to look back at the earlier attempts to translate Sun Tzu, like the Jesuit father Joseph Amiot's 18th century translation.
Ah, Amiot.
According to Giles, it was, well, how did he put it? Excessively bad.
He didn't mince words, did he? It's a classic case study, really, in how critical fidelity in translation truly is. Giles was unsparing.
He really was.
He cited downright blunders, frequent omissions, and what he termed willful distortion, or just outright slurring over hard passages.
Imagine trying to understand complex strategy when the words are warped or missing.
Exactly. How much meaning gets lost. Giles even noted a distressing Japanese flavor, which is bizarre, where Chinese names were mistakenly rendered, like Kirholu masquerading as Katsuryo.
Wow.
He put it bluntly. Amiot's grasp of Chinese was just far too scanty.
It really underlines the need for the same rigorous standard we demand for, say, Greek or Latin classics, doesn't it? Honesty, accuracy.
Absolutely. Which is precisely where Giles stepped in and made his, well, monumental contribution.
He didn't just translate, did he?
No, he meticulously documented. He was scrupulously giving either text or reference for every passage translated.
So not just academic fussiness.
Not at all. It was a direct effort to correct those historical blemishes, as he called them, and ensure the purest possible understanding of Sun Tzu's original intent.
So the aha here is that the clarity, the depth of the insights we're about to discuss, they're directly a result of one scholar's, unwavering commitment to accuracy.
Precisely. It's a powerful lesson in valuing that foundational work, the integrity of knowledge itself.
Okay, so moving beyond the text itself, let's talk about the man behind the wisdom, Sun Tzu, or Sun Tzu as we usually call him. He wasn't just some abstract philosopher, right? He was a real person.
Very real and incredibly pragmatic, a historical figure. His biography, which was chronicled by the famous historian Sima Qian,
Right.
it gives us this vivid, almost shocking glimpse into his uncompromising approach. Discipline, leadership.
It's true. This isn't abstract philosophy floating in the ether. These principles sprang from a man who understood the ruthless demands of command.
Absolutely.
And he was utterly committed to getting results, even if it meant directly challenging royalty.
That's the key part.
The most famous story, it's almost legendary in its starkness, involves him training the King of Wu's palace concubines.
Ah, yes, the concubines.
So Sun Tzu tries to drill them, but they just treat it like a joke, right? Giggling, ignoring orders.
Exactly. They just didn't take him seriously.
So what happened next wasn't just a lesson in discipline. It was
Wow.
a demonstration of absolute unyielding authority.
It really was. The account details how, after he gave repeated warnings, clear instructions, the two company leaders,
Who happened to be the king's favorites.
the king's favorite concubines, yes, they failed to obey. So Sun Tzu, apparently without hesitation, ordered their beheading.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And when the king, horrified, tried to intervene, pleaded for their lives, Sun Tzu's response was just ice cold.
What did he say again?
Something like, having once received His Majesty's commission to be general of his forces, there are certain commands of His Majesty which, acting in that capacity, I am unable to accept.
Wow. Talk about drawing a line.
He then proceeded with the executions, appointed the next in line as leaders. This story, it profoundly illustrates his conviction that military necessity, the integrity of command, it superseded everything. Personal preference, even royal decree.
So what's the lightning bolt here for us? This isn't just some ancient, brutal anecdote.
No, it's foundational.
It's a lesson for any leader, right?
Sure.
It underscores the non-negotiable importance of clear orders, absolute accountability, and that unchallengeable authority a leader needs to command effectively. If your commands are just suggestions...
Then you're not really leading.
Exactly. If there's no consequence for disobedience, you can't lead. It hammers home that results demand decisive action, a clear chain of command. Battlefield, board meeting, doesn't matter.
That's a critical takeaway. And this story, it also serves as a gateway, really, to explore the broader philosophical landscape of war in ancient China.
Right. How did they think about conflict?
It's fascinating to see how different societies, different thinkers grappled with it. Was war just, a necessary evil? Or was it viewed through a more complex lens, maybe even as a noble art sometimes?
Well, some of the foundational texts cited in Giles's introduction certainly present a strong case for military strength.
They do.
The Lun Yu, for instance, talks about the sufficiency of military strength being vital. The Shu Qing even lists the army as one of the 8 objects of government.
Right there with the core functions of the state.
And the I Ching suggests an army indicates firmness and justice, implying maybe a moral dimension to military power. And the Shi Qing paints this picture of a king rising majestic in his wrath, and he marshaled his troops. So it seems clear that in early Chinese thought, military preparedness wasn't just tolerated.
No, it was essential.
It was considered an essential component of a well-ordered state. Legendary figures like the Yellow Emperor Wu Wang, they used military force to bring order, help their people.
Yet the view wasn't entirely uniform, was it? There was a significant emphasis on finding a balance.
A delicate balance.
Exactly. There's a quote from the Summa Fa that perfectly captures this nuance. He who relies solely on warlike measures shall be exterminated. He who relies solely on peaceful measures shall perish.
So you can't go too far either way.
Precisely. And this wasn't just theory. History offered stark examples. Rulers like Fu Chai and Yan Wang, their downfalls illustrated the consequences of leaning too heavily on one extreme.
So the question that emerges is, how does a leader or a nation strike that delicate balance? Peace versus preparedness.
The consensus among the ancients, Giles notes, seems to have been that the wise ruler maintains peace as the norm, but is absolutely ready to deploy force when necessity demands it, not before.
But then you also had this other current, right? Outright contempt for the military, especially from the scholars.
Yes, the scholarly class. They often dismissed military weapons as the reckless fabrication of theorizing pundits.
Arguing that virtue and civilization alone should be enough.
Which sounds noble, doesn't it? But the text argues that such a stance would inevitably lead a country to impotence and dishonor, maybe losing its rightful heritage.
Or at least leave it vulnerable.
Right, vulnerable to invasion and rebellion. It's likened to a teacher needing a rod in a family, or punishment in law sometimes, a necessary tool to get rid of wicked people.
It highlights that timeless debate. Can soft power alone protect you?
A debate we still have today, in many ways. And this brings us to Confucius. His stance on military matters was, interestingly, kind of ambiguous.
Yeah, how so?
Well, he famously declared, I am unversed in military matters, which might suggest, a detachment from the brutality of war.
Right.
Yet he also asserted, if I fight, I conquer.
So, which is it?
Well, the historical context is key. War was often seen as a state ceremonial back then, not really an independent field of study.
Huh?
So maybe that explains why a sage focused on moral and social order wouldn't specially choose matters connected with armies and fighting for his teaching.
But what's really insightful, though, is the observation that even Confucius, this paragon of virtue, might resort to guile and stratagem.
Like what?
The text mentions him violating an oath that was extorted from him and using a disguise when leaving the Sung state. It hints that even the wisest understood that sometimes pragmatic, maybe ethically complex actions are needed to navigate dangerous situations in the real world.
That's fascinating. So even the sage knew the score.
It seems so. And this philosophical tension, this debate between military necessity and scholarly disdain, it actually led to a historical shift.
How so?
Giles notes that the governing class developed a sort of fear of enlarging on military topics.
Uh-huh.
They discussed them, but often in a shamefaced manner.
Really?
Yeah. Anyone who dared to speak boldly about it was at once set down as eccentric, maybe coarse or brutal.
Wow. So they kind of suppressed the discussion.
It's a fascinating example of how societies can, through what Giles calls sheer lack of reasoning, lose sight of fundamental principles, dismissing vital knowledge because of intellectual bias or, social decorum.
And that leads to a crucial distinction that Sun Tzu and his contemporaries really embodied.
Which is it?
Early military treatises like Sun Tzu, Wu Tzu, Suma Fa, they stayed strictly military, focused on the practicalities.
Like what?
Producing, collecting, training troops, drilling them. The correct theory for expediency, plans, transport, handling soldiers. Real nuts and bolts stuff.
Okay.
Later works, however, often blurred the lines, regrettably, mixing military science with metaphysics, divination, even magical arts.
Stuff Sun Tzu avoids.
Meticulously avoids. His genius lies in that pure, pragmatic focus on strategy and human nature, untainted by mysticism.
Okay, so with that vital context established, let's step directly into the blueprint for victory itself. Sun Tzu lays out these fundamental strategic principles that are just as sharp, just as relevant today.
Absolutely.
He suggests that before you even think about engaging in any conflict, battle, business deal, complex project, whatever, you absolutely must consider these 5 foundational elements.
The 5 constant factors.
And then these 7 crucial questions.
The 7 considerations for forecasting, yes. Let's break down the 5 factors first. Number 1, the moral law.
Which isn't quite ethics as we think of it.
No, not exactly. It's more about the profound loyalty and unity of the people with their ruler, ensuring they are in complete accord so they'll follow him regardless of their lives, undismayed by any danger.
So shared purpose, devotion, alignment.
Exactly. 2, heaven. This covers all natural conditions, night and day, cold and heat, times and seasons.
The environment, basically.
Right. The commentator Wang Xi called it the general economy of heaven, including elements, seasons, wind, clouds, atmosphere, understanding and leveraging timing and the environment.
Makes sense.
3, earth, topography, distances, great or small, danger, security, open ground versus narrow passes, the very chances of life and death that terrain presents.
So knowing the ground.
And being quick to turn those features to your advantage. 4, the commander, the leader's essential virtues.
What are those according to Sun Tzu?
Wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness. It's interesting how he subtly shifts the traditional Chinese virtues here.
How so?
He replaces things like uprightness of mind and self-respect with the distinctly military virtues of courage and strictness. Very practical for his context.
And number 5.
Method and discipline. This is the operational backbone. Proper army subdivisions, organization, clear ranks for officers, maintaining supply roads, controlling military spending. The nuts and bolts of efficient execution.
So what's the lightning bolt here? Sun Tzu, thousands of years ago, basically laid out a strategic checklist.
Pretty much.
Any modern CEO, project manager, community organizer would immediately recognize this stuff as essential. He's telling you, don't even think about taking action until you've mastered your internal coherence. Read the environmental conditions, mapped the terrain, understood your leader's strengths,
The commander.
and got your operational logistics flawlessly disciplined.
Method and discipline. Exactly. It's a timeless blueprint for avoiding disaster and setting the stage for success, applicable to any complex undertaking.
And beyond those 5, he then offers the 7 considerations for forecasting victory or defeat.
Right. These are comparative questions. Any shrewd leader has to ask these when evaluating their position against an opponent.
Like,
Which sovereign is more able? Which side has greater natural advantages considering heaven and earth? Which army has officers and men who are more highly trained?
Training is key.
Crucial. Tu Yu, an ancient commentator, really hammered this. Without constant practice, the officers will be nervous. The general will be wavering when the crisis is at hand.
Makes sense. What else?
In which army is there greater constancy in both reward and punishment?
That last point about consistency, that seems really important, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It speaks directly to morale, adherence to orders. If your team isn't certain that merit gets recognized and misdeeds addressed, you just erode trust and effectiveness.
So Sun Tzu says if you apply these 7 considerations rigorously, you can predict the outcome.
That's his claim. It's a direct, results-oriented diagnostic tool. No wishful thinking allowed. The general who heeds this counsel, keep him. The one who doesn't, dismiss him. It's about clear-eyed assessment.
Okay. And this analytical rigor, it leads us right into one of Sun Tzu's most famous principles, deception.
Yes. The one that always sparks debate.
All warfare is based on deception. That's a bold statement.
It is. But when you think about it, can you name any truly great leader or strategist, military or otherwise, who didn't employ some form of it, even subtly?
It's hard to argue against in practice. You mentioned Wellington earlier.
Right. Arthur Wellesley, Duke of Wellington. Colonel Henderson, the military historian, specifically lauded him for the extraordinary skill with which he concealed his movements and deceived both friend and foe.
So deception isn't just outright lying. It's managing perception.
Exactly. Managing perception and expectation. Sun Tzu elaborates on the tactics. When you're strong, feign weakness, ready for action, appear useless.
Active. Look unprepared. Secure. Seem at rest.
Precisely. The aim is always to lure the enemy into a false sense of security, tire them out, fragment their forces.
And the ultimate application.
Attack where they are unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. It's a psychological chess match, played out on the field of perception.
And beyond just deception, there's this incredibly vital principle of adaptation.
Yes. The water analogy. So powerful.
Tell us about that.
He says, military tactics are like unto water. So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak.
Like water flowing around rocks.
Exactly. Just as water shapes its course according to the ground, never holding a constant shape, the soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing.
And the massive aha moment for me, there is that line, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare there are no constant conditions.
That insight alone is just incredible. It tells you that rigidity, sticking to a plan no matter what, that's a direct path to defeat.
You have to be flexible.
Completely. The heaven-born captain, Sun Tzu explains, is the one who can modify his tactics in relation to his opponent and thereby succeed in winning. This fluidity, this dynamic responsiveness, it separates the masters from the rigid tacticians.
And you can see how these principles apply directly to, say, negotiation or competitive business.
Or even navigating complex personal relationships.
Yeah. The idea of no constant conditions just challenges fixed thinking. It champions flexibility.
It really does. And this inherent flexibility, combined with strategic deception, it underscores another core imperative in Sun Tzu: the absolute necessity of speed and efficiency.
Speed.
Yes, if you take one thing away about his view on timing, it's this: delaying is almost always a losing game.
Why is that? He gives reasons.
Right. Very clear, very pragmatic reasons. He details the absolute folly of prolonged warfare. The consequences are dire, cascading.
Like what?
Your weapons grow dull, your men's ardor is damped, their strength gets exhausted, your treasury is depleted.
And then you're vulnerable.
Exactly. Other chieftains will spring up to take advantage of your extremity. Sun Tzu unequivocally states, no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare.
Think of long, drawn-out conflicts in history. Rarely does the victor truly benefit long-term. They're often exhausted, too.
Precisely. But it's crucial to understand his nuance here. He isn't advocating for stupid haste.
Right. Rushing blindly isn't the answer either.
No, he acknowledges that sometimes an overly quick move can be injudicious. However, he's very clear. Cleverness has never been seen associated with long delays.
So tardiness is always foolish.
In his view, yes, if only because it inevitably impoverishes the nation, drains vital resources. He mentions Fabius Cunctator, the Roman general famous for delaying against Hannibal.
The delayer.
Right, as a potential counterexample. But even then, Giles notes, it's quite a moot question if his tactics would have worked long-term against a different kind of enemy.
So the main point holds.
Exactly. Only one who is thoroughly acquainted with the evils of war can truly understand the profitable way to carry it on, which is with maximum rapidity.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to grasp the terrible effects of a long war to appreciate why you need to end it fast.
Precisely. The skillful soldier, he advises, doesn't need a second levy of troops. His supply wagons aren't loaded more than twice. Once war is declared, he crosses the enemy frontier without delay. Audacious speed.
Prioritizing time, being a little ahead of your opponent from the start.
Yes. And a cornerstone of this efficiency is purely economic, leveraging the enemy's resources.
Foraging on the enemy.
Exactly. The skilled general makes it a point of strategy. Sun Tzu famously calculates that 1 cartload of the enemy's provisions is equivalent to 20 of one's own.
Wow, 20 to 1.
And likewise, a single pickle of his provender is equivalent to 20 from one's own store. It's a profound economic advantage, literally using the conquered foe to augment your own strength, minimizing your own costs.
So the core message is crystal clear.
In war, then, let your great object be victory, not lengthy campaigns.
And the aha here is that the cost of indecision, of procrastination, in any project, military or launching a product, it's immense.
Absolutely. Sun Tzu's lessons in efficiency apply directly to resource management, human and material. Time is your most valuable, most overlooked asset.
Okay, building on preparation and efficiency, let's get into the art of engagement itself, where strategy becomes tactical masterpiece.
Sure.
And get this. Sun Tzu presents this ultimate goal that sounds almost impossible at first. Imagine winning without even really fighting.
Supreme excellence. Breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting, that's the highest ideal.
Is there a historical parallel?
Moltke's triumph at Sedan is often cited. The huge French army capitulated almost without bloodshed. For Sun Tzu, the highest generalship is to balk the enemy's plans.
To frustrate their intentions at their very inception.
Exactly. And this isn't passive defense. It implies an active counterattack policy, disrupting their designs before they fully unfold, winning before the first shot.
And a practical application of this is avoiding sieges.
At all costs. He issues a stark warning. Besieging walled cities is incredibly costly. Time, resources.
How long did he say preparation takes?
Building mantlets, shelters, mounds can consume 3 months or more, and if the general gets irritated, launches a reckless assault like swarming ants.
Bad news.
Often 1/3 of his men slain, while the town still remains untaken. Devastating waste.
It's sound military theory. Charles mentions the Boers, right?
Yes. He notes that if the Boers in 1899 had followed this wisdom, avoided costly sieges like Kimberley or Mafeking, they might have been much stronger when British reinforcements arrived.
And in the modern business world.
It translates to anticipating competitors' moves, preempting them strategically, avoiding those protracted, expensive battles that drain everyone, outmaneuvering, not just outmuscling.
Okay, so putting all these pieces together, what's the cheat sheet for victory? Sun Tzu boils it down to 5 essentials.
Yes, like master key. These 5 points are foundational. 1, he will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight.
Timing and opportunity recognition.
Right. As Chang Yu explained, conditions favorable, advance, unfavorable, retreat, defend, astute timing. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces.
Not just numbers.
Not just numbers, having an eye for locality, seizing the right moment. Wu Tzu advised, superior force, easy ground, inferior force, difficult ground, leverage terrain and circumstance. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all ranks. Unity, morale, shared purpose. A cohesive team is formidable.
4,
He will win who prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. Readiness is paramount. Proactive preparation, positioning to exploit their lack of it.
and 5.
He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign.
The general's autonomy in the field, like Napoleon.
Exactly. His success was partly because he wasn't hampered by central authority. He was architect and commander. This sparks that important question for any organization, right?
What's the optimal balance? Central authority versus delegated decision-making for those on the ground.
A perennial challenge.
And all these points, all these considerations, they culminate in arguably his most profound, most universally applicable axiom.
Know the enemy and know yourself.
If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles.
And the converse, the warning. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle.
The example was Fu Qin at the Fei River.
Yes. Vastly outnumbered his enemy, but utterly underestimated them, ignored his advisors. Disaster. A testament to the perils of ignorance.
It's timeless, isn't it? Self-awareness, strengths, weaknesses, resources, limits, combined with competitor analysis, key in all domains.
Absolutely. Operating in the dark. About yourself or your opponent. Recipe for disaster, as Sun Tzu warns.
Okay, once these foundations are understood, the conversation shifts to tactical dispositions and this concept of energy.
Yes. Where the abstract becomes concrete. How an army or a team moves as one, hits like an unstoppable force.
How do you get them to move like water, strike like a ton of bricks?
Sun Tzu asserts the skilled fighter first puts himself beyond the possibility of defeat, then waits for an opportunity to defeat the enemy.
So secure yourself first.
Exactly. Security against defeat lies in our own hands. We control our preparation. But the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Proactive prep, disciplined patience, wait for their mistake.
And here's that surprising twist. True mastery often means winning without renown.
Right. Winning by making no mistakes means those victories happen over circumstances that have not come to light. The world knows nothing.
So the general gets no reputation for wisdom or courage.
Because the hostile state submits before bloodshed, he receives no credit for courage. It implies the truly skilled fighter conquers an enemy that is already defeated before the fight even looks like a fight. Subtle, decisive, preemptive.
Which brings us to Qing and Qi, the direct and indirect methods.
Yes. Qing is the direct conventional approach, frontal assault, say. Qing is the indirect unexpected maneuver flank attack, feint.
And the key is their interplay.
Their mutual interchangeability. Sun Tzu says they run like the two sides of a circle, endlessly combining. Han Xin crossing the Yellow River in tubs while marching his main army elsewhere, classic Qi.
Confusing the enemy, striking unexpectedly, apparent disorder, concealing perfect order.
Precisely. And this concept of energy also describes the sheer force of the attack.
The torrent rolling stones.
Yes, the onset of troops, like a torrent which will even roll stones along in its course, capturing that momentum and the quality of decision like a falcon swoop.
And the crossbow analogy.
Right. The bent crossbow is stored energy. Releasing the trigger is the decision. Build up potential force, unleash it at the precise moment.
This extends to the art of feigning, too, right? The paradoxes.
Powerful paradoxes. Concealing order beneath disorder, courage under timidity, strength under weakness. But he's clear. If you wish to feign confusion, you must first have perfect discipline.
You need the real thing to fake its opposite.
Exactly. Want to feign timidity, need extreme courage. Parade weakness, must have exceeding strength. It's a sophisticated psychological game, manipulating enemy perception. When this combined energy is used, the men become like rolling logs or stones. Devastating power.
So preparing meticulously, cultivating hidden strengths, projecting one image while being another crucial for psychological advantage anywhere.
Absolutely. And all these tactics, all these principles, they ultimately circle back to the human element of command.
Right. So it keeps reminding us. Is people who win or lose. But how do you lead them effectively? Cultivate that dedication.
It's a critical balance. He juxtaposes absolute discipline with the dangers of, maybe, over-solicitude.
Like Wu Qi beheading the brave soldier who acted without orders.
Extreme example, yes, but it underscored the absolute necessity of unquestioning obedience in that military context. Conversely, he warns against the general who is indulgent but unable to make your authority felt.
Kind-hearted but can't enforce commands.
Right. Or incapable, moreover, of quelling disorder. Such a leader, however well-intentioned, makes his soldiers useless for any practical purpose.
But it's not just about fear or strictness. There's mutual gain.
Yes. If a general shows confidence in his men but always insists on his orders being obeyed, the gain will be mutual, combining trust and firmness, reciprocity.
And the famous line about soldiers as children.
Regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys. Look on them as your own beloved sons, and they will stand by you even unto death. Profound empathy and care.
Which is illustrated by that other Wu Qi story, the abscess.
Vividly. He wore the same clothes, ate the same food as the meanest soldier. A soldier had a painful abscess. Wu Qi reportedly sucked out the virus himself.
Wow.
The soldier's mother wept hearing this, not for joy, because Wu Qi had done the same for her late husband.
Who then fought to the death without hesitation.
She knew her son would now feel compelled to do the same. It shows the profound loyalty inspired by that bond, but also maybe the tragic cost it demands.
A crucial human element for any leader, understanding the army spirit.
Sun Tzu observed its rhythms. Keenness in the morning, flags by noon, mind bent on camp by evening.
So the clever general attacks when the spirit is sluggish.
Exactly. Avoids attacking when keen, strikes when sluggish and ready to return. This raises a vital question for any modern team leader, right?
How do you manage morale, energy, the mental state of your team over time?
Timing demands to their natural rhythms, their emotional states. It's about understanding that ebb and flow, recognizing when they're receptive, when they need rest, or a different approach.
Li Ching talked about robbing the general of his presence of mind.
Yes. Attacking an enemy includes the art of assailing the enemy's mental equilibrium. It speaks to the psychological warfare in leadership, how critical a commander's composure and understanding of human nature are.
And interestingly, Sun Tzu observes that in truly desperate straits, soldiers lose fear.
Yes. If there is no place of refuge, they will stand firm. In a hostile country, nowhere to retreat, they show a stubborn front, fight fiercely.
They become self-reliant.
He says in such extremes, soldiers, without waiting to be marshaled, will be constantly on the qui-vive. Without waiting to be asked, they will do your will. Without restrictions, they will be faithful. Without giving orders, they can be trusted. Testament to the raw human will to survive.
Profound insights into psychology under extreme pressure, applicable in any high-stakes environment.
Absolutely. How extremity can tap into incredible reserves. And this brings us to self-assessment for leaders. Because Sun Tzu also warns what not to do. The 5 cardinal sins.
The 5 dangerous faults that can derail even a brilliant general, like a diagnostic for leadership failure.
They are, with stark clarity. 1. Recklessness leads to destruction. Impulsive action without assessing risk.
2.
Cowardice results in being captured through hesitation, illustrated by Huan Xuan preparing his escape boat early.
Signaling his own doubt, killing his soldier's spirit.
3. A hasty temper, easily provoked by insults, leading to rash emotional decisions, like Yao Shang provoked into a bad fight. Over-solicitude for his men exposes him to worry, trouble, sacrificing the whole for a part. The general so good to his men he can't make hard strategic choices. Hyper-focused on individuals, losing the big picture.
And 5.
Over-caution brings shame because nothing gets achieved. Sun Tzu's clear. Nothing significant happens without calculated risks. The general who will never take a risk fails.
Wow, those are piercing observations. A powerful checklist for self-reflection for leaders anywhere, even today.
Absolutely.
How do these faults show up now? Too cautious to innovate, too eager to please, avoiding tough calls, reacting emotionally to criticism instead of thinking strategically.
Questions that resonate deeply. And finally, overarching everything, all principles, all tactics, is what Sun Tzu considers supremely important. Intelligence. The masterful use of spies.
Knowledge is power.
That's a unifying thread. But how do you get that invaluable knowledge about your adversary? Sun Tzu's answer, spies.
And he makes a chillingly pragmatic case for it, highlighting the immense cost of ignorance.
Brutally honest. War drains blood and treasure. To remain ignorant because you grudge 100 ounces of silver for spies.
The height of inhumanity, he calls it.
A leader acting like that is no leader of men, no present help to a sovereign, no master of victory. It's an investment, he argues, you can't afford to skip.
And foreknowledge, achieving things beyond ordinary reach, it only comes
from men who know the enemy's situation. Not from spirits, prayers, inductive experience, or deductive calculation. It must be gathered directly from the ground, from sources inside the enemy's ranks.
And how is it gathered? Through the 5 classes of spies.
Yes. And when all 5 types work together, he calls it the divine manipulation of the threads, the sovereign's most precious faculty.
Let's break them down.
1. Local spies, using inhabitants of a district. Win them over, they're your eyes and ears. 2. Inward spies, officials from the enemy's own side working for you. Degraded officials, criminals, greedy concubines, aggrieved subordinates, fickle turncoats, exploiting existing grievances.
3.
Converted spies. Captured enemy spies you've turned. Treat them generously. Frederick the Great believed in paying spies extravagantly, recognizing their value.
4. So it's tricky. Doomed spies.
Ethically complex, yes. Your own spies given false info knowing they'll be caught and relay it. Their potential execution might even be part of the deception.
Wow, and 5.
Surviving spies, your most valuable operatives, your own spies who penetrate, gather real intelligence, and return safely. They provide actionable foreknowledge.
And coordinating all five is that divine manipulation.
Right.
Cromwell's scoutmasters come to mind.
Exactly. His success was partly due to meticulous intelligence gathering. Shows how these ancient principles worked in practice. Managing spies, Sun Tzu says, requires intimate relations, liberal rewards, but also extreme secrecy.
No other business should greater secrecy be preserved.
And it needs benevolence and straightforwardness, treating them genuinely, and subtle ingenuity of mind, rare intuition, psychological insight. The impact of their info is immense, crucial for attacks, storming cities, assassinations.
And historically, the text notes the rise of dynasties like Yin and Chao due to figures like Yi Qi and Li Ya.
Yes. Both served under previous dynasties, demonstrating the power of intelligence and internal disruption. It underscores the insight. The enlightened ruler and the wise general who will use the highest intelligence of the army for purposes of spying achieve great results.
This whole section on intelligence, it highlights its importance in any modern decision-making. Competitive intelligence, market analysis, understanding social dynamics.
Absolutely. But the detailed methods Sun Tzu describes also raise that profound question for us today, don't they?
Where do we draw the line?
Exactly. Sun Tzu's view is purely pragmatic, outcome-driven. He weighs the cost of ignorance against the methods needed. For us, it forces a difficult look at the ethical implications, the societal impact of using similar strategies. A tension with no easy answer. Worth pondering.
So as we bring this deep dive into the art of war to a close, it's abundantly clear this is far more than just an ancient military handbook.
Oh, far more.
It's a profound study of human behavior, a timeless treatise on strategy, a powerful exploration of the dynamic interplay of forces in any competitive environment. We've seen how principles of deception, speed, preparation, adaptable leadership, critical intelligence are still incredibly potent.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Sun Tzu's ultimate wisdom isn't really about glorifying conflict. It's about understanding its mechanisms so deeply, so completely, that you can often avoid it altogether. Or, if forced into it, conclude it swiftly, decisively, with minimal cost.
The emphasis on foreknowledge, flexible strategies, adaptable tactics. It means mastery isn't about brute force.
No, it's about intellectual superiority, careful planning, and a profound understanding of both yourself and your opponent.
So as you reflect on these powerful ideas, consider this provocative thought. Sun Tzu famously said, "The enlightened ruler lays his plans well ahead. The good general cultivates his resources." What resources, knowledge, skills, relationships, insights are you cultivating in your own life or work? And how are you planning well ahead, not just to win a confrontation, but perhaps to achieve your most important objectives without even needing to fight?
Just by being so prepared, so strategically adept, that conflict becomes unnecessary.
Exactly.
Take these potent principles, let them marinate, and then consider how you might integrate them into your own challenges, your own opportunities. We've distilled the nuggets, now it's over to you to apply them wisely.